Mr Berger.
Thank you, Acting President. I rise to speak on the motion of Mr Davis, and I note that he seemed to have a particular weird sense of glee on his face when he read this motion out in this place yesterday. What a shame, considering the thousands of members that are constituents of ours in Southern Metro. The first part of his motion requests that a select committee of 6 members be appointed to inquire, consider and report by the 30th of June 2025 on trade union intimidation, and it goes on. And, Acting President, it goes on a lot. The second part of the motion talks about who will be on this committee that Mr Davis is so keen to see. But let's skip to the third part of the motion to go to the fourth part of this motion. The fourth part reads that the chairman or the chair of the committee will be a non-government member. Acting President, I'm not going to bother with this motion that is designed as an attack against the government. But what is worse, a motion that is an attack against working men and women of this state, and I assume this chamber will agree. Unions built Victoria. Unions built the middle class, and Victoria is a union state. In 1856, Victoria became one of the first places in the world to introduce an 8-hour workday. As many of us you know in this chamber, workers organising went on to strike when building what is known as the Old Quad at University of Melbourne, stonemasons protesting against long, unfair hours. They marched here to Parliament House, making the birth of the union movement in Victoria, and what began a more than 150-year legacy of fighting for the rights of working people. And, Acting President, many workers in this building are union members, and I'm sure the Department of Parliamentary Services has a community and public sector union, also known as the CPSU, fighting for the rights and entitlements every day. In this building, members and their delegates fight for them as well, because we know you must fight to win. Acting President, in a poll in 2020 conducted by Essential Polling, more than 74% of workers found unions to be an essential part of the workplace safety. 74% agreed that unions are essential for proper pay, and 74% that they were essential to providing a voice for them at work. Over 2/3 of respondents believe unions are crucial to pushing back against power imbalances in the workplace, and twice as many believe that they would be far better off with stronger unions in Australia. Unions play an integral role in industrial matters, and their role is just as relevant in 2024 as it was in 1856. They are essential in protecting workers' rights, fighting for better pay conditions and defending workers when they are unfairly treated. And this is never more evident than in some of Australia's most deadliest industries. Acting President, the road transport sector is one of the most dangerous industries in this country, and after 38 years as a member and then leader of the union that represents them, I am deeply passionate about ensuring every person gets home safe to their loved ones. Unions have a strong record of supporting workers. Most publicly, the Transport Workers Union led the charge against Qantas in the federal court, standing up for 1,700 workers sacked by the disgraced CEO, Alan Joyce, and the board. The TW fought Qantas on every appeal and escalated it into the courts. And I'm pleased to say the High Court found that Qantas had unlawfully sacked workers, and in a dodgy bid to avoid industrial action. Acting President, without a union, these workers would not have had a voice, and that is what those opposite want. Similarly, Qantas found guilty of an illegal standing down of the health and safety representatives, Theo Semidardis, after he sought to protect workers on the job from COVID-19, with Qantas being forced to pay a fine of $250,000. And Virgin Airlines, just last year, workers were pointing out concerns of fatigue from a reduction in breaks available, tiresome back-to-back shifts, and sought industrial action to rectify this. It's only through the collective action of the TWU that workers at Virgin Airlines, who did it tough through the pandemic, saw compensation. And that took the form of universal 2-year 6.5 increases in wages, as well as an 8 to 20% increase for those most affected. Acting President, the TWU has fought for better deals for members, and that's what unions will always do. The Shop Distributors and Allied Employees Association, or Shoppies as we know them, is another great example. Something I know my colleague Mr Glee knows all about. At Bunnings yesterday, they secured a 10% increase over 3 years, and that in 4.5% in the first year for workers, along with a bump to annual leave, helping secure award rates of pay. And we've seen that with their work with Aldi. This is something that we've had to fight with Mr Glee, fighting their race to the bottom. To fight for a boost in the number of hours and part-timers, increased retail wages, more parental leave, annual leave and stronger rights for casuals. I stood at many picket lines with my comrades at the mighty RTBU who consistently deliver strong results for their workers. Acting President, ABS data shows that union workers have better wages, earning 25% more than non-union workers, and wage growth benefits all of us. It powers economic growth across every area of society, and its unions are fighting to make it better. Acting President, the ABCC has been abolished, and good riddance to them. It was set up to discredit and dismantle unions, and it was an ideological hit piece of the Abbott, Turnbull, Morrison era, the same mob that bought you the 2014 federal budget that cut, cut and cut, because that's all they want to do. Those opposite just have no idea how to build anything. They have never built anything. They just like they sold out Victoria during the Abbott, Turnbull, Morrison era, cheering on their Liberal mates as our funding got funded. And then they were selling out Victorians, and even to this day we have seen scenes over the last few weeks where they've been cheering on the other side state's tourism sectors, encouraging people to go into state. I say shame on you. When they were last in power, they wasted 4 years. They sat back and did nothing while our transport sector was neglected, something I remember too well. And they told us they couldn't remove any level crossings. Well, how's that going for you? They love to stand up here and pretend they care about growing the diverse western suburbs, but what they know about delivering the Westgate Tunnel, they haven't even got a single member in the other place that represents our west. So give me a break. What do you know about delivering the North East? Instead of building stuff, the member for Warrandyte in the other place makes cringy videos talking about slabs and tea, and while sledging the other hard-working men and women out building the project that's going to benefit their community. It's disgraceful. They claim they want to build things, yet they go out and support organisations that are designed from the get-go to treat construction workers differently to other workers, to treat those at building sites differently. The ABC did nothing to improve OH&S or fight exploitive wages and conditions in the industry, and Acting President, it did nothing to produce productivity, despite what their cringy videos claim. These people can't decide what they're on about. When this mob was last in government, they failed to deliver a single major project. But what did they do instead? You went to war on the nurses, you went to war on the fireys, and you went to war on everybody else, and even the teachers. And when the last Liberal government in Victoria lasted more than a hot minute, they delivered was pain and suffering and Jeff shed. We all know what you think of unions. Kennett brought in contracts that outlawed penalty rates and leave loading and picket lines. He handed up the state awards to the feds. That's what you get in Victoria when you vote for Liberals. Hardline industrial relations policy. And that's not what this place wants, or people of Victoria. And that's what you've been sitting there doing for a decade. I thank the House.
Mr. Galea.